Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today I wanted to make a list of some of the best and worst offensive operators in Rainbow Six Siege. We did a video similar to this a couple of months ago, but because a lot has changed over this last couple of months. They've added in new operators, they've updated and shifted things around, and the result of this is that some operators are now better than they were and some are significantly worse. And so not only did I just think this would be a fun topic to talk about, but it also was time to make another one of these videos because a lot of you have been requesting it. And so to start us off in the S rank, the best of the best, we have Ash, Thermite, and Blackbeard. Blackbeard should be a no-brainer. He was introduced in the most recent DLC, and he is a god amongst men as long as you're playing him appropriately. Even if you're new to the game, even if you have no understanding of how this game works, as long as you're outside of a window, or if you're using cover to your advantage and you have that shield in front of your weapon, it is very, very difficult for the enemy to take you out while you have no problem shooting them in the face. And so as long as Blackbeard stays relatively the same over the next couple of months, he is always going to be one of the best operators in the game. He provides a lot of firepower, he can clear rooms all by his lonesome, and if it's a 1v1 situation, he almost always has the advantage. And it's for that very reason why he is clearly one of the best operators in Rainbow Six Siege. As for Thermite, this should also be a no-brainer because he's the only one who can get through reinforced walls, and that can mean the difference between your team winning and losing. I cannot tell you how many times I felt like I was the disadvantage because either no one picked him at the start of the round, or he died before he was able to use his gadgets. If you're able to have that much influence, if you're able to put your team at that much of a disadvantage because you die, you know that you have influence. And while he did get a nerf recently, he no longer has access to the frag grenades. That went on over to Buck, and we'll get to that here in a second. Even still, because his weapon is solid and he has access to this very influential gadget, he is clearly one of the strongest operators in the game right now. And then finally we have Ash. Ash is probably my favorite go-to offensive operator in the game right now. She's very quick, she has the highest movement speed that you can have when you're playing on offense. Her gun is simply amazing, probably one of the best in the game. It's got a high rate of fire, manageable recoil, it hits like a truck, and on top of that, her gadget is incredibly versatile. You can open up a barricade from across the map. Jammers have no influence on her. You can hit an enemy operator from below if you're sneaky enough and you scouted it out with your drone. You can even flush an enemy away from their hiding spot by just throwing this and using it as a grenade launcher to do splash damage to finish someone off. All in all, the versatile gadget, her weapon, her speed, she is just an amazing operator, and it's for this very reason why she's the last one for this S rank. Moving on down to the A tier, we have Thatcher, Sledge, and Buck. The reason why I didn't put Thatcher a level above is because while he's still awesome, he's still one of the most influential operators in the game right now, I'm finding because of the way that the meta is working right now in Rainbow Six Siege, he just doesn't provide as much benefit as he used to when the game first released. When Rainbow Six Siege first released, a lot of the operators that were being played a lot during that time were placing down their gadgets around the objective. You had Mute, Bandit, and Jaeger. They were prime easy targets for a Thatcher grenade. And while that's still prevalent today, it's the reason why I placed Thatcher in this A rank, it's not as awesome considering now we have really good operators like Valkyrie, where she doesn't get countered nearly as easily as some of the others that were more popular back in the day. And so while he's still awesome, he's not as awesome as he used to be. Moving on over to Buck, he has quickly become one of my favorite offensive operators in the game, hands down. When he first came out with the Black Eyes DLC, I thought he was terrible. He was a selfish operator that didn't provide much benefit to his team. Sure, his assault rifle hit hard, but because the destructibility on his shotgun against walls was terrible, it opened up very, very small holes, and because he didn't have access to the frag grenades, there just didn't seem to be much benefit for playing a Buck. A lot has changed since then. They've improved his assault rifle so it has less recoil. He now has access to the frag grenades, which are arguably one of the best gadgets that you can have when you're playing on offense. And because his shotgun now opens up massive walls, you can have these awesome situations where you blow open a wall and then shoot the guy directly behind it, and it's easily one of the most satisfying things that you can do in Rainbow Six Siege. I love playing as Buck. Sure, some people might disagree with me. Some people might bring him down to the B tier because his assault rifle can be kind of underwhelming in some situations because it does have a lot of recoil, but I love this guy. He's a lot of fun, and I think that's important when you're playing as an operator. The game should be fun, and Buck is the epitome of that, at least in my opinion. As for Sledge, he's pretty much Buck, and so all the reasons why I like Buck are the reasons why I like Sledge, but he has a more accurate weapon, so I think his weapon is better. It's got a much more manageable recoil, but his gadget is just a little less versatile because, of course, the hammer doesn't have the range of a shotgun blast. He's still got frag grenades, and so yeah, if you like Buck, then you're gonna probably like Sledge. They're very, very similar playstyles, and so for that reason, these guys are gonna be the last one in our A tier. Moving on down to the B rank, we got Twitch, Blitz, Fuse, and IQ. The reason why Blitz is here and not any higher is because I'm finding that the meta in Rainbow Six Siege right now really favors operators that have C4. You've got Pulse, you've got Valkyrie, you've got Bandit, all really, really great defensive operators, and because of that, they're direct counter to anyone who is using a shield. And so if you're playing as Blitz or as Fuse, who you're using those shields, you're gonna have a hard time being very effective. And while you can still run across a Blitz who knows what they're doing and can win the game for your team, I'm finding more and more that not only is he just being picked less, but he's just not as influential as he used to be. Twitch was someone who I debated bringing up a level because admittedly she has the best offensive weapon in the game. Her FAMAS is godlike. It's got a high rate of fire, the highest I think out of the assault rifles. It hits incredibly hard and it's very, very accurate. You put all those together in one weapon, you've got a god tier gun, but because her gadget is so underwhelming in most situations, I kind of dropped her down a level. Her gadget, while in some situations can be very helpful if the enemy is not observant to their surroundings, but because it's not very maneuverable, it can't jump, and if anyone just sneezes on the gadget, it dies, I'm finding more and more that it just doesn't serve much of a purpose. And so unless Ubisoft decides to buff her gadget a little bit, I still think she's awesome. I mean, I pick her all the time. You guys notice when I'm live streaming, I'm constantly playing as Twitch, but I'd really just wish that she brought more to the table, at least with her gadget. A lot of the other operators that I just mentioned, the reason why they are so high is because their weapons are already good, but they also bring a lot more to the table with their gadget, and I think that is one of the biggest weaknesses with Twitch right now. One operator that you may have been surprised I included in this category is IQ. When the game released, she was terrible. She was easily the worst offensive player in the game because while her weapons were decent, they were nowhere near good enough to bring her to the point where people would play her consistently because her gadget was just worthless. There was just no reason to play as IQ. Since then though, not only did her gadget get an upgrade, but they've also added in and buffed other operators that are directly countered by her. Pulse is probably the best example. Pulse is godlike right now on defense. I'm surprised they pushed him to the point where he is, because if you have a good Pulse on the defensive team, he is terrifying to fight against. Now that you have IQ on your team, you know exactly where he is, and he's a little less threatening. Valkyrie is another prime example of this. You need to know where her cameras are located to deny her the vision. You need to deny her that intelligence, and IQ is the best way at figuring out where those gadgets are located. And so I still don't think that IQ is the best of the best, clearly not. She is significantly better than she was, and in the right situation, she can really be a boon to your team and really help you win those rounds. And then finally we have Fuse. Fuse is good, but he's not great. His gadget I'm finding to be less and less effective because everyone now that's playing Rainbow Six Siege is a veteran. They've been playing for months on end, and they know what to look out for. As soon as they hear that audible cue, that really loud audio sound that a Fuse is placing his gadget outside of a window, they're gonna run away. And while that can bring its own benefits, if you have a teammate that's outside of the objective room, your gadget can flush out the enemy and give your teammate a free kill. That doesn't happen very often. It's also very hard to coordinate something like that. And so for this very reason, while he's not terrible, he's not worthless, I definitely don't think he's one of the best picks for offense. Moving on down to the worst of the worst, we have Glaz and Montanya. Montanya did get a buff a couple of patches ago, but because once again, with the same problems that Blitz has, the meta has shifted where most defending operators do have access to C4, he really struggles right now. And while this might just be me being naive, because I fully admit that I don't play with shield operators very often. Like, I am terrible with them, and so I don't touch them with a 10-foot pole. In general, I just don't see much benefit of using Montanya in most situations. And then lastly, we have Glaz. Glaz, simply put, sucks. I know there's some people out there that will main him and they pull off some really impressive plays. They're nailing headshots left and right, they're able to use that scope to their advantage, but in general, having a high-powered, slow rate of fire rifle just doesn't really do it in Rainbow Six Siege. Because every gun in this game can one-shot, it's better off just having a high rate of fire anything and put a bunch of bullets down range. This is the reason why the SMG-11 is as good as it is right now and why people call it the pocket sniper rifle. I really think something needs to happen to Glaz. I don't know what, because we don't want to make him just one-shotting people with chest shots. That would be too much. But I feel like he's just weak right now. He doesn't do a whole lot. He's very selfish. He doesn't provide any benefit to his team other than getting kills. And at least in that department, he's not very good at it as well. But yeah, guys, that is my list of best and worst offensive operators in Rainbow Six Siege. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of this list. Do you agree with it? Would you change things around? Who would you put where? Let me know down below in the comments section. But yeah, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.